Designed to sell. Shelving, designed to sell. It's easy to sit back and design some cool graphics on the computer and think you have something special. And then your design gets printed and shipped off to the store where a kid being paid minimum wage and thinking about literally anything else except your package throws it on the shelf. Sideways. It doesn't always happen like that, but if you can accommodate for circumstances beyond your control, it's one of the most important considerations when you're designing for the shelf. Target's well known for a process known as merchandising in multiples and the psychology behind it. Essentially, a large rack with many of the same item conveys not only newness or freshness in the case of produce, but it also provides a giant billboard for the product. Increasing the ease of quick purchasing decisions is one of the keys to improving sales. Think about how many times you have been reminded that you are out of detergent when faced with a large display conveniently located at eye level because there's an entire shelf of a single product. Target has the luxury of large amounts of real estate that most other retailers don't. What you design needs to convey the brand promise and function quickly and with a single unit. This is no small task. Another consideration that designers typically overlook is the pay to play nature of marketing on store shelves. In its most basic form, a company will pay for the linear foot for premium shelf space. Small, outwardly facing packages with increased depth tend to fare very well in paid environments. The soft drink 12 pack is a prime example of how to take advantage of shelf depth while minimizing linear feet. Unique forms factors are also critical for differentiation among commodity products. Even saying a bag of Pringles sounds wrong. In fact, that package is so unique to the category that most people reference it only by its name without mention of the carrier, like bag of chips or box of detergent. Rather than spread throughout the chips section, they tend to be stacked in their own area, further reinforcing how packaging can establish a brand. After a package has been designed, production is complete, it's been picked, packed, shipped, and stocked. Will anyone buy it? A best practice is before you release your designs to the printer, make up a great comp, mock that thing up, and guerrilla style, go put it on the shelf where it would normally be sold. How does it look? Does it stand out, blend in? Does it stand out in a good way or a bad way? Is it a different height? Does it fit the space? Does it look weird? Why? Now is the time to fix all of that. Go to the store, you guys. Go to the store. Why go through all this? Because the psychology of purchasing is very complex and nothing beats having a little ethnographic research, however small the sample size. Do people stop? Studies show that if you can motivate someone to pick up the product, purchasing conversions increase dramatically. While every product category is different, there are two major components that time and time again seem to influence behavior: typography and texture. Most professionals, having spent years of carefully selecting type for different industries, recognize how to make something appear expensive, cheap, humorous, or even rebellious. So, like on the left there, we have expensive, and on the right, we have rebellious. And they did this only using type. I'm picturing which fonts I would use right now in my head whenever I say each adjective. The same sensibility can be applied to a package that either has its own tactility or leverages the distinct qualities of the product it contains. It's for this reason alone that koosh balls have little more than a cardboard tag for packaging. The texture begs you to touch it, pick it up, squish it, and when we pick it up, it gives you that one giant leap towards purchasing it. The package should reflect the needs of the end user. This should be second nature, but we see so many packages that contain wildly inappropriate aesthetics that more often than not reflect the taste level of the designer and not the potential customer. On occasion, you might want to intentionally deviate from this rule, but understanding the significance of who will be interested in the product can never be overstated. One acceptable deviation from this rule of thumb is when trying to elevate a commodity product into an aspirational one. When a grocery store mimics the more expensive brands that outperform their product, it's a good example of recognizing that some purchasing decisions are driven by refined design. Packaging is a sales tool. Effective package design can make consumers desire something as benign as soap. A well-designed package can elevate a lackluster product into exceptional status. In fact, some marketers have moved all of their advertising budget into package design. To meet sales strategy demands, the designer must conceptualize and execute the following traits in the package design: a unique design that allows the product to stand apart from its competition, A demonstrated benefit or reason for buying, such as economic alternative, category leadership, innovation, or something else. A personality that's likable, meaningful, and relevant to its consumers. Desirable product features that are enhanced by using photography, illustration, or product reveal. Easy to understand, compelling product information. Practical, easy to use packaging. Primary and secondary packaging. Most packaging requires a multi-level approach to distribution. Typically, a large pallet will be filled with cases of a product which in turn are sold as singular items. The upside of this process is that the package designer is afforded multiple opportunities to convey information. Equally important, we are allowed the opportunity to omit information that may be legally required but is of a lesser concern to the individual user. One thing that should remain on the individual package is the importance of warning regarding health concerns. So you always have to have that health concern on there. If it might contain nuts, allergies, soy, things like that. By now, we're all familiar with the not intended for individual sale that often accompanies packed products. This little bit of lawyer copy is liberating to designers that have to satisfy needs for a product to be displayed in an environment like a home or office. Everything from hand soap to honey on some level becomes part of the decor of the room or the space that they occupy. When we think of objects as decoration, there's not a lot of room for ingredient lists, usage instructions, or lawsuit protecting legalese. Dial Soap made an ease of use breakthrough with their foaming hand soap line, but just as important, it was their decision to let the cardboard sleeve do the heavy lifting of information dissemination, while the container itself was kept clean enough to display in the bathroom. And so once you take that cardboard overlap off, you have a nice looking package that you'd want to put on your countertop. At the end of the day, the most refined environments would prefer to have less branded clutter and more personal attention to detail, and combining the functionality of the foaming soap with an austere form factor was a great way to push consumers into purchasing a disposable product for a room as intimate as a bathroom. It's important to understand at what point information needs to be conveyed versus how the product will live in the environment. Designing for usage. Beyond protecting and merchandising a product, what is left for a package to accomplish? At every step, we need to challenge ourselves to consider the life of both the materials and the possible reuse of the package itself. You'll hear me say many times over, especially when we get into the sustainability portion of our class, that while recycling is fantastic, the best a package can do is maintain utility. The best thing a package can do is maintain utility through reuse. Anytime that occurs, one less landfill is created and one less product is purchased, and that's a great thing. And hopefully we can avoid creating another toxic plastic floating island. We've recently witnessed Olympic beds composed of corrugated cardboard to cardboard boxes with illustrated directions explaining how to construct a shelter. With the advent of increasingly complex dyes and tools like laser cutting, there's never been a greater time to consider not just the package and its contents, but how they can be repurposed. To achieve this, I recommend working through your standard design process, but before finalizing production specs, take a moment and write down what each component of the package could do when thought of as raw material. Look at the shape, look at the appropriateness, look at the size. What can you do to give this package an appropriate second life? From milk jugs with printed lines to cut and become dustpans, to use lotion bottles repurposed into beach-friendly phone and money containers, the possibilities for life after delivery is endless. To jumpstart your creative process, search, life hacks, and check out a few of those. I'm sorry. We live in a world where there's finite resources, and recognizing this is part of becoming a great designer. As with aesthetic decisions, every choice matters, and when spacing a new project, the initial phases of package development are the easiest time to set goals and standards for environmental impact when the job is finished. Be creative and never afraid to present a client with a life beyond their product's trip home. It can be an additional selling point and great PR. They love that. Try to keep in the back of your mind at all times that package is the final sales tool. You have the opportunity to make one last pitch to sell your product. It might be through typefaces or colors or illustrations, but find a way to make a meaningful connection with your desired consumer and quickly.